Hola, hola, amiga. Today we're diving into a topic that can feel like a high pressure performance. The expectation for Latinas to have this picture perfect family, especially in front of our familia. You know the feeling. The spotless living room before abuela arrives, the endless reminders to your kids and telling them, compórtate bien porque va a venir tal y tal fulano. And the anxiety it feels if your kids are running around and they're gonna stain their shirt or something. But here's the thing, mamas. Real families are messy, loud, and sometimes downright chaotic. Kids will be kids. Houses will get dirty and there will be disagreements. So, why do we feel this pressure to put on a perfect show for our familia? Well, in this episode, we'll be exploring the root of this family performance anxiety and how to embrace a more relaxed and authentic way of being with our loved ones. So, listen to this episode. That way, we can ditch the performance script and create a more authentic space for our families to thrive. Welcome to the Viva la Mami podcast. I am your host, Jessica Cuevas. I am a mother of two on a mission to help redefine the meaning of motherhood as a modern Latina mom. Motherhood can be a complex journey, interwoven in two identities that often make us feel ni de aquí ni de allá. Viva la Mami is committed to providing you with knowledge, tools, and support to navigate the challenges and triumphs of motherhood as Latina moms. On the show, we'll be discussing culturally relevant topics that will help inform and empower you in whichever season you are in on your motherhood journey. We'll be joined by Latina moms, experts and professionals who can offer advice, practical tips, relatable stories, and honest conversations. So bring your cafecito as I invite you to be a part of this space as we create comunidad about the exciting and challenging parts of being a mommy. Ahora, vámonos. Okay, so let's be honest, mamas. We've all felt it. The pressure to have these perfectly behaved children, a spotless house, and a picture-perfect family dynamic, especially when our familia comes over. And this is usually during the holidays, get-togethers, like for example, at this time of this recording, Mother's Day is coming up. And so I'm already thinking about how I should be grateful for having my children and my husband and kind of appear this sort of front, although I am very grateful for being a mom. But we all know that there's so much chaos behind getting the kids ready, behind trying to figure out if we got all the gifts for the mamas. And so even if we go through so much struggle, we still have this pressure of making it seem like we are okay. And this pressure can often stem from a desire to please our own parents or earn the respect of our abuelas, tias, or tios, whichever family member there is in our family. But here's the little secret I have for you. Trying to control every aspect of our families is an impossible and ultimately stressful endeavor. It can also send the message to our kids that their true selves aren't good enough. There have been many times when I'm just clenching my jaw and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I hope my toddler isn't going to smack his tia. Or I often freak out whenever we get ready. I have this pressure of trying to make my family look good. And I feel like oftentimes Latina moms are judged by the way that their family appears. And so all the time, whenever we get ready or whenever we are going to visit family, either for the holidays or for parties, I want to make sure that my husband looks clean and crisp, that the kids' clothes are ironed, okay? I remember when it was my suegra's 70th birthday this past fall, and I know this is ridiculous, and maybe y'all can relate, but I ironed my little back then, like 6-month-old's little tiny tuxedo. Okay. Like the iron was pretty big for the sleeves and everything, but I tried my best to make his trajecito look as if it came out of the dry cleaners. Okay. And this is kind of like the expectation and ultimately the pressure that we get as Latina moms. And so, how do we break free from this pressure from like making our families look very perfect and well behaved? Well, here are some ideas. And I promise this episode is going to be short because I've got all the feels about this. But the first thing is to set boundaries. It is okay to say no to family demands that are unrealistic or create unnecessary stress. So one of the things that I can think of is when the tia wants to give a kiss on the cheek to the kids. And if they're like, no, like oftentimes we feel like judged that when we respect our kids, and our kids need that respect. They are feeling uncomfortable. They're not consenting to like give anyone a hug or a kiss, and they have all that right. But of course, it's going to look bad on us because we are basically raising kids desobedientes, you know? And it is totally okay for you to stand with your kids, for you to also speak up for them because they're in this weird situation where maybe they're like 2 or 3 years old and they cannot articulate themselves. Well, this is our opportunity to advocate for them and respect their choice and simply tell our family, no, mi hijo no te quiere besar. And that's okay. But why don't we give each other a high five? And there you go. The second idea that you may want to consider is to manage expectations. And so talk to your family members beforehand about your expectations for the visit. Let them know that it's okay if the house isn't perfect. For example, if family is visiting or if the kids have a tantrum. So oftentimes when family wants to be like, oh, crazy, like, ay, mira mi hijo, hola, ¿cómo estás? There was one time where my baby cried and he was teething. He was just overwhelmed. And sometimes like my family can be too loud. And I have to tell my family like, hey, you know, my kid isn't feeling well. Like he's feeling under the weather. Or even for myself, like there have been many moments where I literally had to speak up for myself too. And it's not like no quiero saludar la familia, but within the craziness of like trying to get your family ready and now you're finally at the destination, sometimes even an hour late because you struggle trying to get out the door. With little ones, it's just really hard to get out the door. And there were moments when I've told my family, you know what? I'm going to say hi whenever I'm ready, because oftentimes my family is so wild to like greet you. And I love it. But sometimes when you're already overly stimulated, you know, you just want to tell your family, hey, this is the expectation. And then you can say hi. And this is without being a sangrona or anything. It's just like sometimes you just have to speak up, really, and let them know what you went through or what the current status of your home is. And that's okay. All right. And then the third idea is perhaps like focus on connection. Instead of stressing over like the way that your kids or your partner looks like, focus on creating genuine moments of connection with your family. Like look beyond what your family may think of how your kids look like. All right. Perhaps just like take pictures, because if you decided to dress them up in a weird way because maybe you haven't done laundry or whatever, like you'll kind of remember, oh my gosh, I remember when this day happened. Or you can even go beyond by just like having fun, right? And enjoy each other's companies. The fact of the matter is that your kids are connecting with the older adults, whether if it's your parents or your grandparents, even your great grandparents. Like in my example, I have the privilege of having my great grandma, and this mujer is very clean. Till this day, she just turned 90 this year, and this woman loves to be clean. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I feel the pressure of just like trying to show my family like they are so perfect and they are so clean. Pero you know what? I realize they are also going to understand that right now I'm in the season of life where, first of all, I'm in survival mode. And second of all, my kids are young. Like they're going to get dirty. They're not going to appear the way that we often see on social media or the way that you even think that your family wants to see them. And so it's okay to let things go and ultimately focus on the connection. And so remember, mamas, imperfection is not a flaw. It's part of what makes our families real and relatable. Let your kids be kids, even if it means if they spilled a drink and got una mancha on their camisa, or perhaps they gave a sassy comment, like it is totally okay. Embrace the chaos, laugh about it if you like, and like I said, create memories that are real and not like staged. All right. And finally, let's ditch the fear of judgment. Our familias, for the most part, love us and our children for who we are. We are not some perfect image we're trying to project and eventually replicate. I feel like our moms and our past generations have felt that pressure to make our families look perfect. And I often think about Erika Sanchez's book, I Am Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter, and like the pressures that she got to be like this sort of glorified version of what a Mexican daughter should be. And I get it, as for many of us first, second gen folks, especially those of us who are either like the firstborn in the family, we often had to set that example to our siblings and even prove our family that we are perfect. But let's remind ourselves to just let go of trying to think that we're going to be judged all the time, because I'm pretty sure that even if our family's not telling us, I'm pretty sure that they're going to be like, yeah, that's right, mija. Like, it's totally fine for your family to misbehave. It is okay. I get it. I went through this, but I didn't have the opportunity to articulate myself, or I didn't have the opportunity to make my kids look a little imperfect from time to time. All right. So focus instead on building healthy family dynamics based on love, respect, and open communication. These are the things that truly matter in the long run. And so if you're feeling overwhelmed by the pressure to create a perfect family image, you're not alone, amiga. Remember, your worth is not defined by how perfect your family appears to be. It is defined by the love, laughter, and even the messy moments you create together. All right, amiga. Well, thank you so much for listening. Hasta la próxima y nos vemos on the next episode. Mujer, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to listen to the Viva la Mami podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, will you do me a favor and follow the podcast and leave a rating and review? Hitting that follow button and reviewing my show will allow other mommies like you find this podcast. Your review will also tell me if you enjoy the show, so I would truly appreciate your thoughts. Don't forget, please share this podcast con tus amigas. Also, make sure to follow me at Viva la Mami on Instagram or visit vivalamami.com. Please note the information shared in this podcast is for educational purposes only and should not be taken as professional advice. Okay, mujer, thank you for joining y nos vemos in the next episode.